What's up YouTube, this is Collect Pokemon and today we're back for another video. So I was not planning to make this video, but due to the increasing hype of the delivery Pikachu, I've decided to make this video and put this up first. So if you're new to this channel, remember to hit the like, hit the subscribe button because that's great. I need more subscribers and you know, it's good to have more subscribers. Today I'm actually going to talk about a type of card or a type of feature on a card called swirls or spiral or whatever you want to call it. But usually the common term right now we use is swirl. And I'm going to talk about three things for swirl. First, what is the history? Where does this historical background of cards with swirl come from? The second, are all the swirls equally the same? And third, what is it going to do, or what's the effect of the swirl have on the Pokemon card market as a whole? So let's get into it. Chill discussion, just talking about this. The originality of the swirl comes from actually the Japanese set. The original Japanese in 1996 set actually gave this kind of holographic patterns, which is this what we call a galaxy foil pattern. The galaxy foil patterns contains swirls in some of the cards, in some of the holographic patterns. So, there are some cards with the holographic pattern that contains a swirl as a background. Some swirl are more obvious because these cards are printed in layers, meaning that some swirl gets exposed into the holographic parts, while some are covered by the Pokemon or the picture itself. So in the original vintage set of Japanese Pokemon cards, from this to the Neos to the E-series, we can actually see quite commonly swirl patterns. And the swirl pattern was very different. It's considered to be these kind of swirl with a lot of sparkly, sprinkly kind of thing going around this. The Japanese version has it. The English version, I'm not 100% sure. I don't have a base set Unlimited or a first edition base set Charizard with me to check. But the CP6, the reprint of this evolutionary set, also has that swirl. So you guys can see a little bit of a swirl here. And then on this one, there is another swirl. Can you guys see it? Right here. Covered by the flame. And this one, we have another swirl just underneath the wings. Okay, so that is the concept of the older Japanese sets, or the older Japanese set foil background, which is a galaxy foil background, which was actually reprinted in CP6. That's where we see a lot of these foil. In terms of the vintage Japanese cards, swirl patterns are not that rare. So that's why people will look for double swirl or triple swirl, because those are much more difficult to obtain. So that's for vintage card. As for English card, this is the evolutionary Charizard, the evolution Charizard. We can see that this holographic pattern, there's pretty much no swirl at all. It's just not possible to be found on this kind of foil paper. So that is the historical background of swirl. Now, what about English set? English set, there's not a lot of new holographic pattern with swirl, but the swirl does exist in the holographic foil paper for what we call what I call the bubbles, a bubble background. So in a lot of the English promo cards, we often see a background like this. And the background like this has these little dots, bubbly dots kind of on it. They are quite unique to English promo cards. And what these actually does contain are some swirl. They actually contain two variations of swirl. Some are more obvious than others. And let's talk about the not so obvious version. So this one is the delivery Pikachu. We can see a much less obvious swirl. Can you guys see where it is? Can you guys find it? It's right here. So I'm going to zoom in my camera to go into the deep camera dive. You guys can see that it's not very obvious, but you can definitely see a swirl there. So that kind of swirl, I mean, these are these are the more less swirly swirl, less common type of swirl. We also see it in other delivery Pikachu, because I think this is the one that everyone is looking at. We can see that swirl there. But not just in the Delivery Pikachu, but they also can be found in other promo card, like this one. Can you guys see the swirl pattern? Oh, almost see it. It was there. Yep, we can see it. It's right there. So in a lot of these other English promo cards, which has this kind of bubbly background, holographic foil patterns, we also see swirls. Why is swirl in modern English card much more difficult to see? Well, the first thing is it's the same as the Japanese cards. The artwork itself can easily cover that swirl foil pattern. And not all swirl are the same. I want to show you guys a very different type of swirl. Can you see this swirl? So on this Delivery Pikachu, the swirl patterns, what we see, it's a very, very clear swirl. It comes like this. You can very clearly see the swirl patterns instead of just those scatter points showing the swirl. And I think that this is also clearly seen in other promo cards, such as this Pikachu. We can see that is the official hard to find swirl pattern. And it's hard to find because, like I said earlier on, it could be hidden. We can see that swirl pattern hidden behind the Pikachu tail. So what does it mean? Knowing that there are these swirl patterns, what does it mean with Pokemon card in the future? Well, like I said in my earlier video, I think that Pokemon card is becoming an art. And people are collecting Pokemon as a piece of artwork. And like any pieces of artwork, the more unique it is, the more special it is, the more value it will have. And I think that people knowingly will grade more PSA 10. They will knowingly go and grade more Pokemon cards. So in the long run, what would make a PSA 10 different to another PSA 10 will be these small features, these small swirls. And it could be anyone's guess what kind of price these will go for. Just like any pieces of artwork where there's only one, or it's very difficult to find. So people just can offer any price. So I think that in the long run, the concept of swirl will continue. I don't think it's much more of a right now this hype kind of thing, but in the long run, as more and more people are collecting PSA 10 cards, black label cards, there's something else that they can chase. There's a level of difficulty, next level of difficulty they can chase, and I think it's really good in retaining some of these values. And I just think it also make people value promo cards again. A lot of the English promotional cards are undervalued, like I said, because promotional cards in English are printed in blister packs. They are given away for free, and it's just sometimes I just feel like they should have more value. And I think that these swirl will give these promotional cards a much higher chase, a much higher value for them. So overall, I do think that this diversity or this divergence of price, even at a PSA 10 level, is going to be healthy for the market, because for the people who they can chase for that PSA 10. For example, like I said, this card in PSA 10 is super hard. It's only like, what, 30%? But this card in PSA 10 with swirl is going to be much more difficult to find. And I think that is going to be very, very healthy for the market, because people will now buy more of these promotional cards, hold on to more of these promotion cards, knowing that there is a chance of a higher value. So yeah, that is pretty much it. So I think that the frenzy for swirl continue. Whether all swirl will continue, I think later on people will start to distinguish between this type of swirl, which is a very, a weak sauce kind of swirl, what I call very weak, kind of like a semi-half swirl, in comparison to this whole complete swirl. These ones are definitely going to be a very, very good value. Even a PSA 9 or PSA 8 might be equal to a PSA 10 or even higher in terms of price and value. Whereas these ones, these will eventually be overlooked, and people will tend to ignore a lot of these. So which card has swirl is good really depends on the set. For English promotional card, we'll look at these one. For vintage Japanese cards, the more swirl on a card will hold greater value. So yeah, that's pretty much what I think about swirl. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember to hit the like, hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you tomorrow. This is Collect Pokemon. Peace out.